Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to dive into the fascinating story of the Polikarpov I-16. We'll take a closer look at its evolution from the early Type 4 to the improved Type 5 and the transitional Type 6, exploring how these fighters changed the face of aerial combat in the 1930s and early 1940s. So, sit back, relax, and let's uncover the history of this remarkable aircraft. In the 1930s, the skies of the Soviet Union and beyond were dominated by biplanes, fast enough for their time, yet cumbersome, fragile, and limited in combat capabilities. Amid this era of traditional designs, a revolutionary fighter emerged, the Polikarpov I-16, a small but deadly monoplane that would redefine aerial combat and serve as the backbone of Soviet aviation during the late 1930s and early 1940s. Among its many variants, the Type 4, Type 5, and Type 6 stand as key milestones. Each represented an evolution in engine power, maneuverability, armament, and combat performance. Their stories are intertwined with daring dogfights, bold experimental design choices, and the pilots who risked everything in the cockpit. Origins of the I-16. The I-16 was designed by Nikolai Nikolaevich Polikarpov, one of the Soviet Union's most brilliant aircraft engineers. Polikarpov, often called the king of fighters, envisioned a lightweight monoplane capable of outperforming biplanes in agility while introducing modern features such as retractable landing gear and later enclosed cockpits. The first prototype flew in 1933 and rapid development followed. The early types 1 through 3 served as test beds, refining aerodynamics and handling, and by the mid-1930s, the Type 4 emerged as a combat-ready aircraft. The I-16's design philosophy was clear. Speed, agility, and pilot skill should outweigh raw firepower, a concept that would define Soviet dogfighting tactics for years to come. Type 4, the early combat pioneer. The I-16 Type 4 represented the first serious attempt to produce a modern monoplane fighter in large numbers. Powered by the Shvetsov M22 radio engine, delivering roughly 480 horsepower, it could reach 360 kilometers per hour, 224 miles per hour, at sea level. Its two 7.62mm Shkas machine guns, mounted in the wings, were modest but adequate against biplane opponents. The I-16 was remarkably agile. Its small frame and lightweight design allowed for tight turns and rapid climbs, giving skilled pilots a distinct advantage in dogfights. However, this came at a cost. The aircraft was unforgiving. A single miscalculation could lead to a stall or a spin from which recovery was difficult. Spanish Civil War experience. The Spanish Civil War provided the first real test for the Type 4. Soviet pilots flying for the Republican side reported that it outperformed Italian Fiat CR-32s and German Heinkel HE-51s in agility, allowing them to dominate low-altitude dogfights. However, when facing faster or more heavily armed aircraft, the Type 4's limited firepower and fragile frame became evident. Pilot experiences. Many pilots describe the I-16 as a fighter that demanded respect. Its responsiveness rewarded skilled control, but punished errors harshly. Landing on unprepared airstrips was a challenge due to the narrow track landing gear, and open cockpits exposed pilots to freezing temperatures at altitude, reducing effectiveness on long missions. Type 5, the balanced fighter. The I-16 Type 5 was a major step forward. It incorporated the Shvetsov M25 engine, a licensed copy of the Wright Cyclone, producing 700 horsepower, which allowed the aircraft to reach 450 kilometers per hour, 280 miles per hour, at sea level. While maintaining the maneuverability of Type 4, it added stability in dives and improved climb rates, making it more versatile in combat. The Type 5 was the backbone of the Soviet Air Force by the late 1930s. It saw action in multiple theaters. Spanish Civil War, late stages. Pilots could now take on more modern Italian and German aircraft with greater confidence. Khalkhin Gol, 1939. During clashes with Japanese forces, Type 5 pilots leveraged its speed to execute rapid attack runs, intercepting bombers and engaging enemy fighters. Winter War against Finland, 1939. The Type 5 proved useful in intercepting reconnaissance planes and conducting limited ground attacks. Technical features. The Type 5's airframe was slightly reinforced to withstand higher speeds, and experimental versions tested 20mm Schwach cannons, increasing its effectiveness against armored targets. The open cockpit remained a challenge, especially in harsh weather, but ergonomics were slightly improved, allowing pilots better control over instruments and weapons. Combat philosophy. Type 5 pilots emphasized hit-and-run tactics. While not as heavily armed as some contemporary fighters, its speed advantage allowed pilots to engage, fire, and disengage before the enemy could respond effectively. Climbing sharply before initiating attacks, then diving to regain speed became a standard tactic. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the incredible story of the I-16, don't just watch, show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. It really helps us continue bringing fascinating aviation history to life. And while you're at it, leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. Which I-16 type would you have loved to fly, or which battle story impressed you the most? We read every comment and love hearing your perspectives. Type 6. The transitional fighter. The I-16 Type 6 was a refinement of its predecessors, incorporating lessons learned from Type 4 and Type 5 combat experience. Its engine was further tuned to produce about 750 horsepower, pushing speeds to 465 kilometers per hour, 289 miles per hour. Structural improvements increased durability, and some experimental units featured semi-enclosed or fully enclosed cockpits, improving pilot endurance in adverse conditions. Type 6 could carry either its standard Schuss machine guns or a single 20mm Schwach cannon, depending on mission requirements. While it was not a revolutionary redesign, it addressed the main weaknesses of earlier models, allowing longer operational life and improved combat survivability. Operational use. Type 6 saw service in border skirmishes with Japan. Pilots leveraged its speed to intercept reconnaissance aircraft. Winter War, used in ground support and air superiority roles. Early stages of World War II, some units remained in frontline service, holding their own against early Luftwaffe fighters in the initial months of Operation Barbarossa. Pilot perspective. Type 6 was praised for its balanced handling. It combined the agility of the Type 4, the speed of the Type 5, and added structural integrity, making it less prone to damage from enemy fire. Its enclosed cockpit made long sorties more comfortable, allowing pilots to maintain focus and effectiveness. Combat and tactical lessons. Flying the I-16 in any variant demanded skill, courage, and precision. Dogfights were often low-altitude affairs, where the I-16's tight turning radius and speed could be used to outmaneuver opponents. Pilots learned to exploit these advantages while minimizing exposure to enemy fire. Type 4 demanded extreme caution, with dogfights favoring precision and skill over brute force. Type 5 allowed slightly more aggressive tactics thanks to its higher speed and stability, making it effective for interception missions and hit-and-run attacks. Type 6 provided a more balanced approach, capable of prolonged combat and limited ground attack missions. In general, Soviet tactics relied on ambushes, high-speed dives, and exploiting maneuverability. Pilots were trained to engage and disengage at will, making the I-16 a dangerous opponent despite its modest armament. Engineering insights. Each successive type of I-16 reflected incremental technological progress. Engine development. From the M22 in Type 4 to the M25 variants in Type 5 and 6, engineers focused on power, reliability, and altitude performance. The upgrades allowed pilots to climb faster, accelerate more rapidly, and maintain energy advantage in combat. Airframe improvements. Structural reinforcements in Type 5 and 6 addressed the fragility of Type 4, allowing the aircraft to withstand higher G-forces during tight maneuvers and resist minor combat damage. Armament experimentation. While early types relied solely on machine guns, the introduction of 20mm cannons in later experiments highlighted the need for greater firepower against armored or faster enemy aircraft. Pilot protection. The move towards semi-enclosed or fully enclosed cockpits in Type 6 reflected lessons from long missions and harsh climates, increasing pilot efficiency and survival. Legacy. The I-16, especially Types 4, 5, and 6, left an enduring mark on aviation history. They were the training ground for a generation of Soviet pilots, shaping tactics that emphasized agility, speed, and situational awareness over raw firepower. These aircraft defined Soviet dogfighting strategies, demonstrated the effectiveness of monoplane fighters over biplanes, and influenced the design of subsequent Soviet fighters, such as the Yak-1, Lag-3, and MiG-3. Though eventually surpassed by faster, more heavily armed aircraft, the I-16 proved that a well-designed, agile fighter could dominate the skies when paired with skilled pilots. Its story is not just about machinery, it is about the courage of pilots, the ingenuity of engineers, and the evolution of air combat in a transformative era. From Type 4's nimbleness to Type 6's balanced reliability, the I-16 remains a testament to Soviet aviation innovation. That's the story of the I-16 Type 4, Type 5, and Type 6. Now we want to hear from you. What do you think about these fighters? Which type would you have loved to fly, or which battle impressed you the most? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this, stay tuned, because in the next video, we'll continue exploring the evolution of the I-16, from Type 7 all the way up to Type 20. You won't want to miss how these later models changed the game in aerial combat.